Ladies and gentlemen, most people think success is only about positive thinking, setting goals, and chasing dreams. But Napoleon Hill once hinted at a deeper truth. Your greatest power is often hidden in the part of yourself that you deny, ignore, or even fear. That hidden part is what psychologists call the shadow self. The shadow is not evil, it is not your enemy. In fact, it's the secret container of your raw energy, your untapped potential, your hidden strength. If you run away from it, you remain weak. But if you face it, if you integrate it, you unlock a level of courage, creativity, and discipline you never thought possible. Remember this, the light of your life will never shine fully until you embrace the darkness inside you. Now, let's explore 7 powerful truths about your shadow self and how it actually holds the key to your destiny. 1. Your shadow is your unused energy. Most people misunderstand their shadow. They think their anger, jealousy, fear, or hidden desires are weaknesses that should be buried deep. But the truth is, these are not weaknesses, they are unrefined forms of raw energy. Energy is never wasted, it only changes form. And your shadow is proof of that. Think about this. The anger you suppress, when someone disrespects you, could become the fire that drives you to set boundaries, demand respect, and rise higher. The jealousy you feel when you see others succeed could become the hunger that forces you to push harder, learn faster, and go beyond your limits. Even your fear, the same fear that holds you back, can transform into laser focus and sharp awareness when you learn how to channel it. The shadow is like a battery pack you've been carrying all your life, but never plugged in. You feel heavy because you're carrying it, yet powerless because you're not using it. Here's something interesting. Some of the greatest minds in history were people who embraced their shadow energy. Steve Jobs had an obsessive perfectionism that others called arrogance, but he used it to create revolutionary products. Muhammad Ali had an ego, people criticized, but that confidence was the very energy that made him the greatest. Even Napoleon Hill himself said that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Where do you think those seeds lie? In your shadow. The truth is, the qualities you're most ashamed of might actually be your hidden superpowers. Ask yourself, what makes me burn with emotion? What feelings do I try to hide from the world? What if those exact feelings are the key to unlocking my real potential? Imagine if instead of suppressing your shadow, you trained it like a wild horse. Yes, it's strong, yes, it's untamed. But once you learn to ride it, it will take you places you could never reach on foot. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's your unused energy reservoir, your hidden fuel tank. Most people walk through life half because they are too afraid to use it. But the ones who dare to face it, they become unstoppable. 2. Facing your shadow brings freedom. Most people think freedom means money, status, or the ability to do whatever you want. But the truth is, the greatest prison in life is the one we build inside ourselves. And that prison is created when we keep running away from our shadow. Your shadow is that hidden part of you. The anger you suppress, the fears you deny, the shame you bury, and the desires you don't admit. The more you hide it, the more it controls you. It's like locking a wild animal in your basement. You can pretend it's not there, but its roar will echo through your entire house. The man who denies his anger will explode in rage at the smallest trigger. The woman who hides her insecurity will seek constant validation from others. The person who ignores their pain will unconsciously keep recreating situations that hurt them again and again. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "You cannot escape a thing by refusing to face it." This is the secret. You can't run from the shadow. The more you run, the more it chases you. But the moment you stop, turn around, and face it, that's when you discover real freedom. Imagine this, you spend your whole life wearing masks, trying to please people, hiding your flaws, pretending to be perfect. Do you know how exhausting that is? It's like carrying a backpack filled with stones every single day. The moment you face your shadow, you drop the backpack. You breathe. You feel lighter. You feel alive. Let me give you a picture. Think of a man who is afraid of the dark. Every night, he keeps the lights on because he's convinced something dangerous lives in the darkness. But one day, he gathers courage, turns off the light, and sits still. And what does he see? Nothing. There was never a monster, only his fear. From that day on, he is free. That's exactly how your shadow works. The monster you are running from is actually a part of you that just wants to be seen. Once you face it, it loses its power. Instead of being your enemy, it becomes your teacher. And here's the fascinating part. The moment you face your shadow, your relationships improve because you no longer wear a mask. Your confidence grows because you have nothing to hide. Your energy multiplies because you stop wasting it suppressing emotions. True freedom is not about escaping the world. True freedom is when you can look at your deepest wounds and say, yes, this is a part of me, and I accept it. And that acceptance turns the lock. The cage opens. You are free. 3. Your shadow reveals your true self. We live in a world where everyone is busy building an image. A profile picture, a polished resume, a perfect smile for Instagram, a fake it till you make it attitude. But here's the truth that no one tells you: the image you project is not your real self. The real you is hiding in your shadow. Why? Because the shadow is the part of you that you've been told to reject. When you were a child, maybe someone said, "Stop being too loud," so you buried your voice. Maybe they said, "Don't cry, be strong," so you buried your tears. Maybe society told you, "Don't dream too big, stay realistic," so you buried your vision. Every time you rejected a piece of yourself, it didn't disappear, it simply went into the shadow. And now, decades later, you think that's not you anymore. But let me tell you, it still is. The anger you hide might be the passion that could fuel your purpose. The fear you bury might be the signal guiding you toward your destiny. The sadness you avoid might be the doorway to compassion and connection. Napoleon Hill taught that the seed of success is often hidden inside the thing we fear most. That means, the very parts of yourself you try to escape are the exact parts that hold your strength. Think about this: the shadow is like the moon. Half of it is hidden in darkness, but that darkness doesn't make it less real. In fact, without the shadow, the moon wouldn't even shine. Your brilliance, your authenticity, your true power, they don't come from pretending to be perfect. They come from embracing what you've been hiding. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man who hides his vulnerability. He wants to look tough, strong, and untouchable. But inside, he feels lonely. He feels disconnected. One day, he decides to face his shadow and accept his vulnerability. Suddenly, he becomes more human. People start trusting him more. His relationships deepen. His leadership becomes stronger. Why? Because his shadow revealed his true self. Not the mask, not the image, but the real human being. This is why some of the greatest leaders, artists, and visionaries weren't afraid of their shadow. They used it. A writer used his pain to create books that healed millions. A musician used his heartbreak to create songs that touched the world. A leader used his failures to inspire others to rise again. The shadow doesn't destroy you. The shadow uncovers you. It strips away the fake image so the real you can step forward. And here's the interesting twist. The moment you stop running from your shadow, people will start to see the real you. They won't just see your success. They will feel your truth. And truth is magnetic. It pulls people toward you. So next time you feel ashamed of a part of yourself, remember this: that very piece might be the missing puzzle of your greatness. 4. The shadow is your untapped energy. Most people wake up every day feeling drained, tired, and stuck. They ask themselves, why do I feel like I have no energy? Why does life feel so heavy? The truth is, it's not because they lack energy. It's because they are wasting energy suppressing their shadow. Think about it. Every time you hide your emotions, push down your anger, silence your dreams, pretend to be someone you're not, you're burning energy. Not in creating, not in growing, not in building, but in hiding. And hiding is exhausting. Now imagine this: what if all the energy you spend running from your shadow could be used to fuel your success? What if the anger you bury could turn into focus? What if the fear you suppress could turn into courage? What if the sadness you avoid could turn into art, leadership, or connection? Your shadow is not weakness, it's raw power. It's the volcano beneath the surface, waiting to erupt. It's the ocean tide you've been holding back with a dam. And when you stop resisting it, that dam breaks and the flow of energy is unstoppable. Napoleon Hill said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Now think about this in terms of your shadow. The part of you you've been rejecting, the rage, the pain, the insecurity. What if inside it lies the seed of your power? That rage might fuel your drive to change the world. That pain might make you compassionate enough to lead others. That insecurity might push you to grow beyond limits you never imagined. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a young man who grew up angry at the world. He fought, argued, and destroyed relationships. Everyone told him, "Your anger is your weakness." So he tried to hide it. He became quiet, fake, smiling on the outside but boiling on the inside, and he felt dead inside. One day, he decided to channel that anger instead of hiding it. He poured it into training, into discipline, into building a business. That same anger that once destroyed his life became the fire that built his empire. His shadow was never his enemy. It was his fuel. And here's the twist: most people miss: the shadow doesn't go away when you suppress it. It goes underground, and it starts controlling you in ways you don't see. That's why people explode, sabotage themselves, or quit just when success is near. They haven't learned to use the energy of the shadow consciously. The moment you stop running and instead say, "This is my energy, and I will use it," everything changes. Suddenly, life feels lighter. You have more stamina, more fire, more passion. You stop burning out because now you're not wasting energy hiding. You're investing it in living. That's why the shadow is not your burden. It's your battery. The more you embrace it, the more unstoppable you become. 5. Shadow work is the path to freedom. Everyone says they want freedom. Freedom from stress, freedom from fear, freedom from the weight of the past. But here's the truth. You cannot be free if you're still chained to the parts of yourself you refuse to face. Shadow work is not just some spiritual buzzword. It is the art of liberation. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "I see you, all of you." Not just the polished parts, not just the Instagram-worthy smile, but the rage, the jealousy, the guilt, the shame. And I accept you. Why is that powerful? Because what you don't face controls you. The shadows you avoid become the puppeteer pulling the strings of your life. That's why people keep repeating the same toxic patterns in relationships. That's why they quit when success is near. That's why they explode in anger or fall into depression. They are not free. They are prisoners of the parts of themselves they've locked away. But the moment you bring your shadow into the light, it loses its grip. Instead of being controlled by fear, you start to understand it. Instead of being consumed by anger, you learn to channel it. Instead of running from guilt, you learn from it. That is freedom. Imagine someone who has always avoided conflict because deep inside they fear rejection. They smile, they nod, they say yes to everything, but inside they feel trapped. One day, through shadow work, they realize, "My fear of rejection is controlling me. It's my shadow." The moment they face it, the chains break. They start to speak their truth. They start to say, "No." And with every honest word, they feel lighter. That's freedom. Shadow work is like cleaning a room you've avoided for years. At first, it's messy, uncomfortable, even painful. You find things you don't want to see. But the more you clean, the more space you create. And suddenly, that once dark room becomes a sanctuary, a place of power. Napoleon Hill said, "You have absolute control over but one thing, and that is your thoughts." Shadow work gives you back that control. It hands you the keys to your own mind, so no thought, no emotion, no hidden wound can keep you in chains anymore. And here's the twist that makes this so exciting. The people who do shadow work often rise faster, stronger, and higher than anyone else. Why? Because they are no longer wasting their life pretending. They are real, they are whole, and wholeness is magnetic. People trust it, people follow it, people feel it. Shadow work is not weakness, it is courage. It is the warrior's path. It's the journey of those who dare to say, "I will not run from myself. I will face everything inside me, and I will be free." 6. The shadow holds your authentic self. Most people live behind masks. They wear the mask of the nice guy, the mask of the successful woman, the mask of the tough one who never breaks. And society rewards these masks. You get applause, likes, promotions, validation. But deep down, you know something is missing. You feel like you're playing a role instead of living your truth. Here's the shocking truth: the real you is hidden in the shadow. Not the mask, not the performance, not the version of you that you think people will accept, but the raw, unfiltered, unapologetic self. Think about it. When you were a child, you were pure, authentic, full of life. You laughed when you were happy, cried when you were hurt, shouted when you were angry. You didn't care about being judged. But as you grew, society told you, "Stop being too loud. Don't cry. That's weak. Don't dream too big." And little by little, you buried parts of yourself in the shadow. But here's the twist. The shadow didn't destroy those parts of you. It kept them safe, waiting for the day you'd be brave enough to reclaim them. When you face your shadow, you begin to unlock your authenticity. The artist who never pursued painting because someone said, "That's not practical," suddenly rediscovers their gift. The leader who always stayed quiet to avoid judgment suddenly finds their voice. The man who was told, "Real men don't cry," suddenly reconnects with his empathy, and it makes him powerful, magnetic, human. Your shadow isn't just the ugly parts. It's also your brilliance, your creativity, your wildness, your genius. Many people suppress their greatness because they're afraid of being too much. They hide their light in the shadow. But when you embrace it, you become unstoppable. Napoleon Hill said, "Don't wait. The time will never be just right." That's exactly what shadow integration means. Stop waiting to be good enough, perfect enough, or ready enough. The authentic you has always been ready. It's just been hiding under the masks you thought you needed to survive. And here's something powerful: people can sense authenticity. You can't fake it. When you speak from your shadow, from the deepest truth of who you are, people feel it in their bones. They stop scrolling, they stop doubting, they stop resisting. Because authenticity cuts deeper than any motivational quote ever could. So, if you want to stand out in this world, if you want real success, real love, real happiness, stop polishing your mask and start uncovering your shadow. Because that's where your authentic self has been waiting all along. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your treasure chest. It is where the truest version of you has been hiding, waiting for the moment you decide to stop pretending and finally be real. 7. Transformation comes from integration. Real transformation doesn't happen when you run away from your shadow. It doesn't happen when you pretend to be positive all the time, or when you push your pain deeper inside hoping no one notices. True transformation begins when you stop fighting with yourself and start integrating every piece of who you are. The light and the shadow. Integration means wholeness. It means you stop dividing yourself into the good me and the bad me, the strong me and the weak me. Because here's the truth: you are not broken. You are not half a person. You are already whole. But you've been rejecting the parts that scare you. Think about it like a puzzle. If even one piece is missing, the picture is incomplete. Your shadow is that missing piece. The moment you pick it up, even though it looks dark or messy, suddenly the whole picture of your life starts to make sense. And let me tell you, this integration isn't comfortable. It's not pretty. It's facing the anger you've suppressed, the jealousy you've denied, the fears you've hidden, the mistakes you've buried. But here's the magic. When you bring those things into the light, they lose their power over you. The anger turns into passion. The jealousy transforms into drive. The fear becomes courage. Napoleon Hill always emphasized that every adversity carries with it the seed of equal or greater benefit. That is integration in action. When you embrace your shadow, you turn your adversities, your failures, your darkest nights into fuel for your greatest transformation. Look at history's most powerful figures. The leaders, the artists, the visionaries. None of them were flawless saints. They had demons, they had shadows. But what made them legendary was their ability to channel those shadows into creation, into leadership, into legacy. And here's where it gets interesting. The moment you integrate your shadow, you become magnetic. People can feel it. Why? Because you're not hiding anymore. You walk into a room and there's an energy about you. Grounded, authentic, whole. You no longer waste energy pretending to be someone else. You radiate truth, and truth is irresistible. Integration is freedom. Imagine carrying a heavy bag your whole life, filled with shame, fear, doubt, and secrets. Then one day you unzip the bag, take everything out, look at it, accept it, and suddenly, you're lighter. You can move faster. You can breathe deeper. That's what happens when you integrate your shadow. And maybe this is the most powerful part: when you integrate, you no longer see life as a fight against yourself. You stop being your own enemy. You become your own ally. That's when life stops being about survival and starts being about creation. Integration isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming fully, unapologetically you. The you that was always there, waiting behind the shadow. So, my friend, here's the truth. The shadow you've been running from your whole life is not your prison. It's your power. It's not your curse. It's your gift. Every fear you buried, every emotion you rejected, every wound you tried to hide, they were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to shape you, to build you, to remind you of who you really are. You see, your shadow is not separate from your greatness. It is the doorway to it. The anger you thought was weakness can become your passion. The fear you thought would paralyze you can become your courage. The shame you've carried for years can transform into wisdom that helps others heal. But here's the catch: transformation only happens when you stop running. When you turn around, look your shadow in the eyes, and say, I see you, I accept you, and I will no longer hide from you. That's when the masks fall away. That's when authenticity is born. That's when power awakens. Napoleon Hill said it best: every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts he permits to occupy his mind. So what will you allow to dominate your mind? Fear, doubt, denial? Or will you allow the truth, the full truth of who you are, to take its rightful place? Because make no mistake, the world doesn't need another copy, another mask, another fake smile. The world needs you, the raw you, the real you, the shadow and the light, fully integrated, fully alive, fully unstoppable. When you embrace your shadow, you don't just heal yourself, you unlock your destiny. So the question is, are you ready to step into the wholeness of who you are? Are you ready to claim the power that's been hiding in the dark all along? Because if you are, your shadow won't just follow you anymore. It will